Hi, my name is Gary. I'm located in New Brunswick, Canada, and I purchased a Lustron home from the US. This YouTube channel is mainly just to follow our progress with the rebuilding of the home, and we just wanted to bring everyone in and show us our journey. All right, so what is a Lustron home? A Lustron home is a prefabricated house made primarily from porcelain and enameled steel panels, including the walls, roof, ceilings, and even the cabinets. Manufactured in the United States between 1948 and 1950 by the Lustron Corporation, founded by Carl Strandlund in Columbus, Ohio. The idea behind Lustron homes was to help address the housing shortage that followed World War II. Unlike traditional wood frame houses, Lustron homes were designed to be durable, low maintenance, and mass-produced in factories before being assembled on site. The company hoped to manufacture affordable homes using assembly line methods similar to the automobile industry. However, the houses ultimately proved expensive to transport and assemble, and the company only operated for a few years. In total, about 2,500 Lustron homes were produced, and today it's estimated that around 1,500 still survive. Why did I decide to purchase the Lustron home? So, funny little story. There's a game called Fallout, and back in 2015, Fallout 4 was released. I'd been a fan for years, so I was excited to buy the game. And the protagonist, their home was a Lustron home. It was deemed the house of the future. So I played through the game, loved the home, and I loved it so much that I wanted to build it in real life, not knowing that it was the Lustron home was an actual home. So my whole plan was to find a contractor and an engineer to take the house from the video game and build it in real life. So I wanted to get as much information as I could from the game. So I went to our local chapters and picked up the Art of Fallout 4, as I wanted as much information as I could from the game. So I flipped over to the section that had the House of Tomorrow, and at the very top there was the disclaimer stating that the in-game houses were actually based off the real-life houses called the Lustron, which I had no idea what it was or even that they existed. So from there I started doing some Googling and found out that they did in fact exist, and they were all based in the East Coast and middle of America. So at that point, I decided that I wanted to physically buy one of these houses. So I didn't really know too much about the houses or how to buy them, so I joined some Facebook communities. There's there's a couple groups, a Lustron group and a Lustron Preservation group, I believe, in search of just more information about these houses. And a lot of them would come up for sale every now and then, so I always kept an eye on when they would pop up, and just to see if I would purchase it. And I initially thought that I'd be moving to the US just because none of them existed in Canada. And then I started seeing stories about Lustron owners dismantling and then rebuilding them in a different state. And I was following someone who did the same thing in New York. And so I started following her and going through her WordPress site, and she had step-by-step with pictures and everything. They had put a basement in and rebuilt it, and I thought that was fantastic. So then I started looking for, reaching out to the community to see if anyone was currently dismantling the house. And there were a couple that were already dismantled, that were already in trailers. I reached out to them, and I did talk about potentially shipping it here, and it was a much larger hassle than I would have thought of. But I was still adamant that I wanted to have a dismantled house. So I reached out to the community, and then it's a really nice couple that were currently in the process of dismantling the home. So she reached out to me, and we had a nice conversation, and then I decided to buy it, which was fantastic. So the next step was we needed a place to store it. So I ended up buying a 40-foot dry trailer. I got it shipped to the property, and over the next 2.5 years, on weekends, they were kind enough to dismantle the house, label everything for us, strap it on pallets. They did an amazing job. We couldn't have asked for a better couple to do this for us. Yeah, and we finally, was it a year and a half ago, the house was finally completely dismantled. We found a truck driver who was willing to drive from New Brunswick all the way to Kansas for us. There was a lot of hiccups on the way, but we finally got it here. It sat in a yard for about a year and a half until our land was ready for it to be dropped off. And finally it was dropped off last week on our land. Yeah.
Solid there too.
Yeah, and during the dismantling process of the home in Kansas, we decided to actually take a trip to Ohio. There's a few of them on Airbnb, so we found a really nice one in Mount Vernon, Ohio. It's a fantastic Lustron home, completely original, nice little town. So my girlfriend and I flew out to Ohio, and we stayed in it for at least 4 or 5 days, and we just fell in love with it. And at that point, we knew that we made the right choice and that we were going to love the house. So one of the issues that we had living here in Canada, especially the East Coast, we have really bad winters, like really heavy snowfalls for the most part. So initially, when I tried to get the house, a building permit for the house, it was denied because the plans were for like 1948 and no one was familiar with them. So I reached out to an engineer. I reached out to many engineers, and every single one said that they would look at the project and then promptly email me back saying that it was too much work, that the project wasn't large enough for them, that essentially we were wasting our time. Because like, who would want to live in a steel home? So one of the issues we had with the engineer was the engineer didn't know the grade of steel that was used in the Lustron homes. So we kind of hummed and hawed back and forth, and then we ultimately decided to go with a wood frame, whereas wood is durable enough, it can withstand our snow loads, and there wouldn't be any question from the city to get a permit for the building. So we took about a year and a half, give or take. We finally found an engineer who was willing to take on the project. The engineer that we used completely redid everything, save for the internal walls. We're still going to use the original steel frame for the internal walls as they're not load bearing. But all of the external walls as well as the roof trusses will be made of wood. So essentially it's going to be like a new frame, but we're still utilizing the original panels. So what's inside the walls doesn't really matter that much to us. Everything else will be original. So we had the plans, they were signed off a few months back, and then that basically set the project in motion. So from there, we were able to find a contractor who was willing to do this for us. And so the house is going to be situated just outside of the city. It's a little country town that we just fell in love with. We picked up 2.5 acres, cleared the lot last year, and we prepped it all this year to get ready to build the house and the garage. So currently we're waiting on a few more permits before we can actually start building the foundation. We had to build up a 7-foot pad of crushed stone in order for the house to be built on. So hopefully this week we get the permits back, which will allow us to move ahead and start with the foundation for the house. And then from there, be framing, and then full steam ahead. So we'll make sure to keep everyone posted and look out for our next video. Thank you very much.